I'd like to call this special meeting of the Lammersville Unified Board of Education to order at 6:07. Just a friendly reminder, please turn off or silence your cell phones at this time, as this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. And I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, because I forgot to ask anybody else to do it. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Lisa Boulay.
Here.
Vanita Daniel. Here. Samik Modi.
Here.
Stephanie Olson.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here. Item 4, approval and/or corrections to the agenda.
There are none.
Move to approve the agenda. Second.
On a motion by trustee Olson and seconded by trustee Boulay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with 5 ayes. Item 5, receiving a public comment. Would anyone like to make a public comment at this time? Seeing none, I will dispense with the reading. Item 6, action items. Item A, consider approval to adjourn from regular session to open public hearing for input on the 26-27 Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP, and the 26-27 budget, including a review of reserves in compliance with EC 42127A to B.
Do we need a motion for that? I will move to adjourn from regular session and open the public hearing for input on the LCAP and the budget for 2026 and 2027.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Modi and seconded by trustee Boulay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with 5 ayes. We are now adjourned and open public hearing. Staff report?
Yeah, we're going to have Assistant Superintendent Sharp present the LCAP first, and then we're going to have Assistant Superintendent Grijalva present a short and brief 30,000-foot view budget overview.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Pombo, trustees, Dr. Nicholas. Thank you for having me this evening. This is going to be a presentation on year 3, so the 26-27 of our LCAP plan. So this will look familiar from the last 3 years. So again, this is a 3-year plan. In the 3-year plan, we cover priorities in 3 areas: conditions of learning, engagement, and student outcomes. Those 3 areas cover 8 priorities, the first being basic services, state standards, and course access. The next, parental involvement, school climate, and pupil engagement. And then the third, other pupil outcomes and pupil achievement. So our district has 3 goals. Goal 1, systematic closure of the opportunity gaps. Goal 2, instruction and curriculum efficacy. And Goal 3, 21st century outcomes and stakeholder communication. So when we look at Goal 1 that addresses systematic closure of the opportunity gaps, this addresses all students graduating college and career ready with the skills of communication, citizenship, critical thinking, collaboration, and creativity, all within a district-wide one-to-one learning environment. And this goal addresses those priorities 1, 4, 5, 7, and 8. In order to determine progress on Goal 1, we have these actions that we focus on. So not to name the whole list, but focused on students' progress monitored throughout assessment, our comprehensive high school experience, career and technical education, student attendance, EL progress and strategic support, and then additional needs through the LREBG funds. Some metrics that we use to address those actions, this is the list, but just to mention a few, we do evaluate access to standards-aligned instructional materials, English language development, teaching, and reclassification of students. We look at UC A to G completion at the high school, advanced placement course completion and pass rate at the high school, and then district-wide increasing daily attendance and decreasing chronic absenteeism and maintaining clean and up-to-date facilities. Looking at Goal 2, we addressed instruction and curriculum efficacy, and that's a focus on instructional leadership and teaching excellence in all of our classrooms using research-validated practices district-wide. And Goal 2 addresses priorities 1, 2, and 6. Actions under Goal 2 involve professional development, effective instructional practices, student and staff wellness, programs and services for unduplicated students with exceptional needs, and 21st century learning experiences. And then our metrics used to evaluate those actions are implementing Common Core state standards, decreasing our suspension and expulsion rates, one-to-one Chromebooks, K-12, teachers appropriately credentialed, to name a few. Looking at Goal 3, 21st century outcomes and stakeholder communication, focus on high quality education, positive parent relationships, all within a 21st century educational program and a rapidly expanding student population. And this goal addresses priorities 3, 5, and 8. And this is the list of actions under Goal 3. So addressing providing the cutting edge technology in classrooms for teachers and students, having those quality communications with parents in the community, survey results, parent input and involvement, and parent participation of students with exceptional needs. The metrics used to evaluate those actions, parent and student staff surveys, parent engagement at district and school activities, parental involvement and communication, so logging into our computer systems, participation of focus groups, and regular evaluation of our tech plan. So when we look at the local control accountability plan, again, it is a 3-year plan. We are now in year 3, so this will address the 26-27 school year. And to start off the year, we are looking at 2025 CASP results because the 2026 are not in. So we will look at the 2026 CASP results for the next 3-year LCAP. When we look at CASP scores, we don't only look at overall scores, we do look at how our subgroups are performing. So as we've shown in the past, we look at how they perform to state, county, and then overall. So on the far left, you see, this is ELA. In the far left, you see the county overall, 48.82%, the overall state performance, 40.57%, and the overall district, 75.71% advanced and proficient. And then we just have this line, this bar below, right at the county proficient and advanced line, and you can see how that proficient and advanced line compares to each of our subgroups. So if we look at our Black African American subgroup, they are outperforming overall county and slightly below overall state. Our Hispanic population outperforms overall state, overall county. Our socioeconomically disadvantaged population outperforms both state and county, and our white population outperforms both state and county. And as a reminder, these subgroups are identified on here because they were identified by the state as being underperforming compared to our overall scores. So you can see in the green and the teal or turquoise are English learners and our LTELs, as well as that blue, the 20.51% are underperforming compared to the other subgroups. These also are subgroups that are not stagnant. So students do gain proficiency and can be exited out of those programs. So when we look at math, overall state is 37.30% advanced and proficient, overall county 29.87%, overall district 71.74%. And as we look at our subgroups, again, we can see our subgroups outperforming overall state and county. Our Black African American population outperformed state and county. English learners outperformed county and not state. Hispanic outperformed both overall state and overall county. Socioeconomically disadvantaged outperformed both state and county, and our white population outperformed both state and county. Again, you can see our LTELs and our students with disabilities did not outperform state or county and were below. However, you see our English learners did outperform county. And then looking at science is lower than the other two, although we are still strong as a district. Looking at state, 32% advanced and proficient, county, 26% advanced and proficient, and our overall LUSD, 65.95% advanced and proficient. Again, though, looking at our subgroups, they are outperforming state and county. Black African American outperforming both, Hispanic outperforming both, socioeconomically disadvantaged outperforming both state and county, and white outperforming both. Again, those three subgroups where students can gain proficiency and be exited from those programs, they are underperforming the other subgroups. However, we would expect that because if they are proficient, we want to get them exited out of those programs. So ending the LCAP presentation is our budget overview, budget to actual, and the explanation of differences. So if we look at the 25 to 26 budget, $48,311,937 is what was budgeted. The estimated actual is $53,463,617. There was a slight budget error within classified coach costs. It doesn't affect the actual there, but we do have to report it. And then special education staffing costs that included additional aides and teachers due to the additional needs of our students in our special education classes. For goal 2, the 25-26 budget, $5,052,760. Estimated actual, $4,839,812. We had a lower than anticipated substitute cost for our walking and talking professional development. And then student one-to-one device delivery was delayed. So we did have in the budget set to purchase the one-to-one Chromebooks, but they were not available. That expenditure will occur in the next fiscal year. Looking at goal 3, 25 to 26 budget, $409,328. Estimated actual was $933,419. That was due to parent project costs of about $8,000 that were not budgeted, but spent. They will be budgeted next year. And then special education transportation. We had more students who needed to have special education transportation than was originally budgeted for. That's one of those things we can't predict as students come into our district. So the LCAP budget overview is a required part of LCAP, subject to the same adoption, review, approval, and posting requirements. It does include the local control funding formula total funds, as well as a narrative for budgeted expenditures not in the LCAP. And then we gathered feedback from our educational partners through school-based school site councils, parent groups, staff meetings, student meetings, our district parent advisory council, DAC, DLAC, and ELAC meetings, surveys, and public forums. Any questions?
I have a question. So can you go back to the slide which had all three percentages? I think it was the second or the third slide for 2020
yep.
for 2025.
The ELA, math, and science?
Yes, all three, please.
Oh.
Thank you. This one. So this one is our 2025 CASP results. And I just wanted to understand if you have data. If you do not, I can get it later. But since this is our third year plan, I just wanted to see a comparison on, the growth that we have encountered. So do you have that by any chance now, or would you like to go
I
back?
do not have it with me now.
Okay. I would like to.
So
see that
just
later.
so I understand, so if you look at the 3 years and we end at ELA at 75.71%, you would want to know the previous year and the previous year?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Year 1, year 2, year 3.
I can tell you all three are up.
Yep, perfect. I just want to see the numbers.
So that's included in the LCAP, though, in the fine print of that 166 page, or 108 pages. I apologize. So yeah, it is in that document.
We have our baseline, and then we do the 3 years and our goal.
Yeah. Okay.
And it'll also show that by subgroup.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Further questions or comments?
Thank you.
Okay, and now Assistant Superintendent Grijalva is going to give again a 30,000-foot view overview of the budget and the budget process.
Good evening, President Pombo, trustees, Dr. Nicholas. Thank you for having me. This is our Lammersville 26-27 budget. This is our budget cycle. Every year, the budget development is ongoing, and it's a year-round evaluation of actuals versus projections. The dark triangles are where we are now. So we have the estimated actuals, which is where we're ending the year, and the budget adoption for the 26-27 year. Key state assumptions from the governor's budget. The governor's budget includes a COLA of 2.87 with a projection to increase it to 4.31%. However, that super COLA difference is explicitly earmarked to support a proposed 14-week paid pregnancy leave benefit. There is no COLA increase for the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, ELOP, or this Career Technical Education Incentive Grant, CTIG, which is a competitive grant, and this year our grant is a little bit less overall. I will add, though, for the ELOP program, there is a little bit of funding increase. There is a proposal to increase the ADA from $1,575 per ADA to $1,800. Also, there is an increase per student funding for special ed. The increase from $917.53 to $1,340 per ADA, which would bring an estimated $3.1 million for Lammersville. Also in the budget, the state is proposing to borrow $3.9 billion from Proposition 98. This is a cash flow delay, not a cut, but what that means is for school districts that with delayed state payments, we'll need to rely on our local reserves to bridge that gap. The annual revenue sources for the 26-27 year include the local control funding formula at $102 million, local revenue, which includes interest earnings, school building rentals, and Medi-Cal billing, is $2.2 million, and state revenue, which includes lottery and mandated cost, is $1.9 million. And under the unrestricted general fund, there is no federal revenue, for a total revenue of $106.2 million. Our average daily attendance ending this year for 25-26 is 78.57, and our budget projection for 26-27 is 78.62. And throughout the year, we will continue to monitor and analyze our ADA, which is mostly finalized in April of each year. To summarize the budget for 26-27, our beginning balance of $12.3 million, this is how we're projecting to end the year, and that includes our 3% minimum reserve and our board policy of an additional 7%. Then we add our revenues of $106.2 million and subtract our expenditures and contributions of $107.3 million for a projected ending fund balance of $11.2 million. The net decrease of about $1 million is due to budgets for additional planned expenses and county special ed student counts. Again, throughout the year, as the ADA increases and the reduction of special ed services at the county will increase our district revenue and the ending fund balance. Our unrestricted contributions include $9.5 million to special ed, and that is about 7.73% of our district enrollment. Again, with the contribution to special ed, we will adjust it at first interim to reflect the state budget increase to the funding and changes to the students enrolled in county programs. The routine restricted maintenance is $4.6 million. The state requires that we contribute a minimum of 3% of our expenditures for those services, but the district, we proactively manage our facilities, we ensure safety, and we prevent costlier future repairs. So I'm balancing our deficit spending with modest revenue growth, which is a zero projected at this time, and the COLA increase is strictly earmarked for new mandates. We have accelerated expenditures, which is rising costs due to step and column and higher utilities and operational expenses. And this also includes intentional contributions to restricted resources for planned expenses such as technology and textbooks. The 3% reserve for economic uncertainty is 3.8 million, and the state requires that our minimum reserve does not exceed 10%. However, our budget today does reflect that it meets that 10% per the board policy 3100.1. So our projected ending fund balance of 11.2 is the total of the 3% minimum reserve and the board policy additional 7%. So overall, the state budget outlook remains positive, although district costs are growing faster than revenues. So we remain in a strong fiscal position due to proactive planning and healthy reserves. We'll continue to monitor the budget, attendance, and look for opportunities to control costs. We'll also maximize revenues once the state budget is finalized to ensure that our district remains financially stable moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can,
Oh, do you have a question?
I do.
Okay.
Can you go back to the first slide, please? That one.
That one?
Yes. Maybe it wasn't the first one. It was the first one I paid attention to, apparently. The COLA or super COLA, as they're calling it, being earmarked for the 14-week paid pregnancy leave benefit, that is an ongoing benefit, correct?
Correct.
And is the state saying where the funding will come from after the first year super COLA, if there isn't a super COLA in subsequent years?
No, they're not.
Of course. Second question, the 3.9 billion that they're proposing to hold back from the Prop 98 funds, that is basically an IOU with no date of term, correct? There's not, they don't say, we're taking this money and we'll pay it back in 6 months or 12 months or whatever. They can stretch that out as long as they like, correct?
Yes, they've done that before. This year it was 1.9 billion, and the promise to pay is usually July, August of this year.
And there's actually a mechanism built into Prop 98 that they could do that does have a set date that they must pay it back if they chose to do it that way, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Can I-
Further questions or comments?
I do, yeah. Thank you so much to you and your team for putting this together. I know that it's hard to do without a crystal ball, and I think you guys do a really good job. So thank you. One of the things, and this might be just more of a comment, that I was surprised at when I read the budget was the minimal increment in our ADA, considering we are a growing community. And I know that we faced this last year as well. We had a projected student growth that didn't happen. So I think we were actually projecting a negative student growth last year, and I probably didn't term that right. But so I was really surprised that our ADA only increased like single digits this year, considering we are still building houses, families are still moving in, et cetera.
Yeah. It is surprising.
Thank you.
Trustee Boulay, I had the same thought. I mean, it was like increased by 5 students.
Yeah.
A few questions. Thanks for putting this together. I'll stick to this slide first. The estimated 3.1 million from the increase for, I believe that was for the ADA increase. Is that an additional 3.1 or is that the new total? Do you
It's
know?
an additional.
That's the additional.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I do have a question, I guess, to what President Pombo had mentioned around the delay versus a cut. On the third box, it says this is a cash flow delay, not a cut. So
Correct.
do we we expect that it will get paid back to us? It's just it truly is a delay?
It is a delay. So what in the allocations that we get every month from the state, they reduce it. So at the end of the year, they're supposed to pay us back that difference.
Okay. Has there ever been a situation where districts have not gotten that difference back when they've borrowed it?
Oh, I imagine that would go back if it did. So that would have been prior to 2012.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in the last 15 years, we haven't seen it. So is it safe to trust that it would be a delay and not a cut?
Yeah.
No, this hasn't, isn't
Yeah,
this,
yes.
Okay, in 15 years, we haven't had a cut. It's been a delay. I got
isn't
it.
this more of a newer trend, though? That
It
a
is.
trend that started maybe just last year? So
Years ago, maybe.
historically, this hasn't happened.
Governor
It just is a
Newsom
recent
trend?
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Trustee Pombo, or President Pombo, excuse me. Do you know if CSBA is still considering the lawsuit around this?
As far as I know, it's still in play.
Okay.
So just to clarify, there's a statute. So there's Prop 98, which guarantees like 42% of the state budget, and that was never supposed to be the floor and the ceiling, but that's what they've created, and then they can suspend that. So to get over a bad economic time, but we're not in necessarily a bad economic time. I think what the trend is that he's trying to borrow money from Prop 98 in order to fund other priorities, at least for a year. But the collective bargaining units associated with California Teachers Association, this would be they're a major player in the Sacramento politics. So I would keep an eye on their reactions as well as CSBA.
Got it. All right. Do you mind going forward, I think, to where you had well, let me ask you on this one. So most of this budget, I think, is on, it talks about unrestricted funds. Is that
Correct.
accurate? Okay. And so even our 9.5 million in special ed funding that came out of the general fund, there's, I don't know, million, is there a ballpark that 1.3 million from federal? Is that the restricted fund contribution?
Yes.
Okay. So in general, when we spend ballpark $11 million on, I believe, special ed funds, or is that not right?
No. The 9, let me go into the slide. The 9.5 is strictly unrestricted general fund into special ed, above and beyond what we get from the federal government.
Right. And so from the federal government, I believe the number is like 1.3 million or something like that. So total is like 11. And of that, 9.5 are coming out of unrestricted funds.
Correct.
Is that right? Okay. Sorry. And then if you don't mind going back one slide. So I know it's not a huge number. I'm just curious as to what the thought is here. So you start off with 12.3 million and then we end with $1 million less. Should that give us any pause or concern, or do we tend to see a little bit of variation year to year with ending balances?
Well, of course, it's a concern because it's deficit spending. We're dipping into our savings account to cover those costs. So we'll manage our spending throughout the year. We'll look at ways to decrease costs. And of course, we have set-asides that we, as I mentioned earlier, for textbooks and Chromebooks and things like that. Sometimes those budgets don't get spent, but because they're planning to, they look as an expenditure.
The second half to that is that this is a guess, right? And so right now we're guessing on a very low number of ADA. And so if ADA comes in at a normal pace, then these numbers change. There's also projections in special ed where we're projecting larger numbers. And if we're off on that, then that also shrinks that deficit. So we have to guess poor on one side to get it right. And then we have to guess an abundance of kids on another side. And so that also creates this, which is why first interim would be a better, a bit more accurate view of this than when we're projecting and trying not to be overly zealous on either side.
Okay. So this is trying to be a middle of the road. This is not a conservative estimate.
I would say that the ADA projection is conservative. I would say that the special education growth is not conservative, but it's because we get inundated with special ed kids over a period of time. So it's better to miss high on that one, and it's better to be conservative on the ADA.
Okay, understood. And my last question, and it's a little bit of a bridge from the last presentation. So I think for like goal 1, our actuals ended up being like 5 million over what we budgeted for that goal, or something around that number. How does that play into how we plan for 26, 27?
Well, the LCAP plan is a budget based on this budget. So
Okay.
we take, the LCAP includes funds from the general fund as well as the LCAP. So
Okay.
it's a combination of both, but we do work together to make them match.
let me ask maybe a different way. Is it truly that we spent 5 million more that we didn't think we were going to spend, or did we end up spending dollars that can be categorized as being assigned to Goal 1 more than we thought they would? I don't know if I made that clear.
No, more than likely, there were items that were in the general fund budget that we didn't capture in the LCAP, and then we went back and
Got it.
captured them.
Okay, so
There was the one goal and action, and it was specifically Goal 1 Action 4, that was for classified coaches. And Assistant Superintendent Sharp mentioned the budget error. The budget was, general fund budget was correct. It was the LCAP plan that had a typographical error.
okay, got it. So more of a classification versus we had a $5 million bogey. Okay, got it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for that great information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item C, consider approval to close public hearing and resume regular session.
Move to close the public hearing and resume regular session.
Second,
On a motion by trustee Boulay.
although we were tied, just FYI.
I just kept going. You stopped.
And seconded, or 1.5 by trustee Olson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are now returned to regular session. Item 7. Right?
Correct, sir.
Okay.
Correct, sir.
Closed session. In a moment, we will adjourn to closed session where we will discuss public employee discipline dismissal release complaint, Government Code 54957.
Move to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Boulay and seconded by trustee Modi. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with 5 ayes. We are now adjourned to closed session. Thank you all for being here and have a wonderful